A Montreal couple made a long-awaited pilgrimage to Jerusalem. But now they found themselves hiding in bomb shelters following this weekend's terrorist attacks in Israel. They called the Canadian embassy, apparently, but received no concrete responses. Let's find out more. Silvana Nematallah joins us on the line, one of the Montrealers stuck sheltering in their hotel in Jerusalem. Silvana, welcome to the program.
Hi, Elias. Thank you very much for having us.
And you're with your husband, Mike, right?
Yes.
So,
yes, it's like you said, we've been waiting to make this trip for many, many years, and here we are. We arrived on Wednesday and Saturday while we were on one of our trips in Bethlehem. We heard pop, sounded like fireworks, and the guide said that there are rockets being fired in the Gaza, and he brought us right back to our hotel, and we've been here sheltering in place ever since. We started to call the embassy, the Canadian embassy, because it started to get very scary hearing the rocket firing and the sirens and running down to the shelter in the hotel. There aren't many people in the hotel at this point. People have canceled. So the few of us that do find ourselves in the shelter have become, we've spoken to each other, but a lot of them have reached out to their embassies and they have responses. Unfortunately for us, when war breaks out on a Saturday, Sunday, that's too bad. The response that we get when we call the embassy is that it's a weekend. And we'll take your information and we'll assess the situation and get back to you. Monday it was Thanksgiving, same response. Today, Tuesday, first thing when we called, we were told it's early. Staff is sleeping. So we're a bit outraged because the conversation is very stock. You know, we're assessing the situation. We'll get back to you. We were also told today that every country has its risk tolerance, and Canada has its own risk tolerance in terms of danger to itself and its citizens. But really, we feel very, very left to our own devices.
Silvana, yeah, I can imagine it's scary. And I'll tell you this, it was just over an hour ago, we spoke to another Montrealer, and they told us the same thing about what happened when they reached out to the Canadian embassy, either by phone or by email. So you are the second person to tell us this type of story. I want to point out, I don't know if you've seen, on social media, I've seen posts from members of the Canadian diplomatic community and ambassadors saying, no, all is well. We are taking care of Canadian citizens. Everything is open. So yeah, I don't know. Have you seen those posts? Have you seen the sort of the difference there between what you're telling me and what some Canadian officials are saying?
So we're Canadians. We're not accustomed to this kind of environment. But I can tell you that the people that are here, the locals, are spooked. The hotel staff are saying it's very dire. Please stay in the hotel. Don't leave. When you hear the sirens, you have a few seconds to run down. So they're taking it very serious, the locals here. And Lord knows they live in a very precarious environment most of the time. But this is exceptionally difficult right now and dangerous, and they all feel it. So why our government is being so nonchalant, I don't understand. We were told, because we said that we have other guests here that were repatriated with planes from Brazil and Poland, and the answer from the person answering at the embassy said, if you can get a seat on that plane, go ahead and take it. And so this is very, very upsetting, and we're scrambling to find seats on flights out of here. We had a flight tomorrow that was canceled, so there are flights leaving the Tel Aviv airport, but it can be canceled anytime, and we are aware of that. So up until yesterday, it was extremely stressful, sirens and ambulances driving by. Today, it's a bit quiet. And I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, if we are going to be able to fly out on Thursday on the flight that we finally managed to book. But it could happen that something breaks out and the flights are canceled on Thursday. It would be nice to feel that our embassy is taking care of us.
We are with Silvana Nematallah. A Montrealer is stuck with her husband at a hotel in Jerusalem, and they're sheltering there. So, Silvana, what's the best case scenario right now? What is your hope to get out of the country?
Our hope is that it to remain quiet. Like now, we haven't heard ambulances or sirens today, and that it remains this way until we fly out on Thursday. And it's quite a long voyage. We're flying to Turkey, flying to London, flying home. It's going to take 2 days, and it's the best scenario because there are no seats anywhere. So it is very, very upsetting, very scary, and we just hope that we can make it home safely.
So we can leave before it breaks out.
And Silvana, if you could take, and I hear that's Mike in the background. That's your husband.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike. Thanks so much here, and I'm sorry about the situation you're facing here. And Silvana, or it's you, whoever wants to tackle this. Can you tell me about, because this is a trip you've wanted to take for a long time, right? Just how does it feel right now for you? I imagine this was a dream trip for you, and how it's turned out.
It was a dream trip, and we were fortunate to come on Wednesday. So we did visit a lot of the sites Thursday, Friday, but Saturday morning, shortly after we arrived in Bethlehem, the sounds were really getting loud here. And Bethlehem is several kilometers away from the Gaza Strip, but we were told to get back in the car. It was a private tour, and we had a lot of trouble leaving Bethlehem. The roads were blocked. There were Israeli blockades. They didn't want to hear anything about being Canadian. They told us to turn back, and we were basically caged in Bethlehem. We were not going to be able to leave, and luckily my husband jumped out of the car and spoke to one of the Israeli soldiers at one of the checkpoints, and by the grace of God, she led us through. Even the guy said, I don't know what you said or how you did it, but we came back to the hotel feeling very scared and relieved that we were able to get out of Bethlehem. Some of the guests here, some guests are actually not even guests of the hotel. They are staying in Bethlehem, and when the fighting broke out, they haven't been able to get back to Bethlehem. And they actually took a van and drove to the Jordanian border today, leaving all their belongings behind in Bethlehem because there is no entry or exit to Bethlehem. So it is really, really dire, very scary, and we're grateful to be back in our hotel. We're definitely not leaving here because there is a lot of tension in the streets here in Jerusalem. You can feel it. You can cut it with a knife. Even though there's no sirens today, it is very tense. The staff is on edge. Everyone's on edge. So it is not fine. I don't know who at the embassy thinks it's fine. They should come and spend a couple of days with us here at the hotel.
And Silvana, we're seeing the reports that's happening right now that in other parts of Israel, right, Hamas has been firing hundreds of rockets into Israel today, right? So is there anything that our listeners should know before I have to let you go? Is there anything that our listeners should know about the situation in Israel and what is happening to Israelis right now that you'd like to share?
I don't want to wade into that political debate, Elias, because when we arrived here, we sensed the tension, and we arrived on Wednesday. So there is a standing tension here, even without this conflict. There is tension daily. It's been going on for years, and it is to be expected that these kind of things happen. There has to be a peaceful way to live together, and it's hard to say, no one wants to see anybody killed or taken hostage. It's just a very electric situation, and it shouldn't be allowed to continue. Each side has a right to live peacefully, and they have to find a solution for it, because fighting, and we've been hearing on the news, we're going to come down hard, and this will never be allowed to happen again. And, nobody wants people to get hurt, but there has to be a diplomatic, rational way to deal with this. So that it doesn't
and of course, Silvana, I understand nobody wants to get into a historical discussion about the multiple times that has been attempted, right? And just how tricky that situation is. Silvana, I hope you get home safely, okay? My best to you and your husband. I hope you get back safe.
From your mouth to God's ears, Elias. Thank you so much.
Take care. That's Silvana Nematallah, Montrealer, stuck sheltering in their hotel with her husband in Jerusalem.